Hello, everybody. Walters 954 here. I have a really special guest, Alex Khaldy, aka Dorito Monster. You may have seen him around on the Salesforce subreddit, so check that out if you're not on Reddit. And he's here to share a really awesome story with us. I kind of heard about it on the subreddit. We had a really good I think it was a post about how you got started in Salesforce or sharing your story in Salesforce, and he had one that kind of stuck out to me. So I reached out, and he's here for an interview. So let's see how it goes. So Alex, what is going on? How are you doing today?
Hey everyone. Yeah, just got off work a little bit ago. Happy to be here. And yeah, currently I am a system admin for a local exterior company in Denver, Colorado. I was born and raised here, love it here. Been with this company for about 7 months now. So doing all their Salesforce development, taking care of all the G Suite stuff, anything IT pretty much. I'm kind of the Lone Ranger here, especially now with COVID. It's just me out here handling all the IT stuff.
Definitely.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I do.
Awesome. So really, it sounds like you're kind of handling everything on your own, and that's a big task. You definitely wear a lot of tasks. Or sorry, you wear a lot of hats, and you have a lot of tasks to get done. And I've been in that situation before. It can be a lot of pressure on an individual, but the learning experience is there. You're definitely stepping out of the realm of Salesforce and learning G Suite and other IT related things. So that is really awesome to start learning and getting your feet wet in. So before we dive too deep into Salesforce, tell us what do you like to do for fun? Tell us about Colorado.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a native here. Grew up in Aurora. That's not too awesome of a place. It's kind of boring, but um, went to school in Boulder, Colorado. Went to CU Boulder. Graduated a mechanical engineering degree there, and that's when I really fell in love with outdoors. So started snowboarding in college. That's one of my favorite things to do. Love Vail. That's probably my favorite place to go. I got into some mountain biking. Um, what else? I love skateboarding. Got into skateboarding in college as well, so that was pretty
Cool.
fun. CU is a really nice campus just to longboard and skateboard around, and got into a lot of hiking. There are a bunch of mountains here called 14ers. They're mountains above 14,000 feet, and I got into this crazy mode where I wanted to do all of them before I graduated college, and there's 58 of them.
Okay.
Um, I got pretty close. I'm at 48 now, so I
Nice.
still have 10 left. But yeah,
Wow.
I like all that stuff. So love it here. Love the outdoors. Love the snow. As crazy as that is to some people.
Wow, and you have a good balance because one, you may be inside or at your desk all day long doing Salesforce stuff and coding and whatnot. Then you can also go out to the beautiful outdoors and hike the mountains and get some exercise, get some fresh air. So that's pretty dope. Really do wish we could have some of that. So I'm out in Florida, so there's no mountains per se, but we do have some hiking, through the Gators and through the Everglades.
Or you could get bitten by a snake or eaten by an
Yeah.
alligator or something.
Or it's not that bad. People think Florida's crazy, but it's not that bad. Cool. So, you touched on it a little bit. Let's hear how you got started in Salesforce.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting story. Like I said, I graduated with my undergrad from CU mechanical engineering. Didn't really do too much coding there. I mean, I use MATLAB quite a bit. That little ding is the bane of my existence. If you've ever heard that, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Error ding. Um, use Mathematica quite a bit. Use Excel, um, but never really got heavily into coding. So right after graduation, I started working for this company called Eaton. I was doing sales for them and whatnot, project management, and honestly, it just really wasn't a fit for me. I wasn't doing as technical of things as I'd like, and just wasn't challenged. And started thinking, I'm doing all the IT. I was doing a lot of IT stuff and little things around the office. I was basically the go-to person to fix whatever was going on with their Microsoft products and whatever else. So started looking into data, started doing a little bit of coding at work and at home. Did a little bit of Code Academy, tried to get into Python a bit. And then started thinking about master's programs, and I actually applied to an online data science program at DU here, and got into that. So at that point, I decided, well, before I decided to make the switch out of my old job, was downtown with a buddy, and we were at this bar called Terminal. It's at Union Station, downtown Denver, and just hanging out with him, and just started talking with these two random guys. And one of those guys is now my boss. He's the CEO of Endeavor Exteriors, where I work now, and he was one of his sales guys, and we just started having a good time, good talk, and he was talking about Salesforce and data and whatnot, and we met a few other people that night who. One lady, she's a data scientist for Vail Resorts. So that really sparked me. I was like, wow, I need to get into data for sure. I was still waiting to hear back from me getting into my master's program for data science. And, my boss now, we just talked a bunch, and I guess he thought I was a smart guy. And he actually was going to hire me as sales first, but then, we had more discussion, and he saw me more as a technical resource and somebody who could take on the beast that is Salesforce. So
There you are, just like that, hanging out at the bar, randomly striking up conversation with some people, and somehow you get yourself a new job. So, was it like instantaneous? Did you have to do any interviewing for the position? What was that like?
yeah, so like I said, initially I wasn't really thinking about becoming their Salesforce admin. I thought that would be a pretty tall task, but the initial interview was more so for like project manager, again, and we had talked through my experience and kind of what I was looking for. And, I honestly told him, like, I don't want to be doing this. I want to be doing something where I can problem solve. That's a favorite thing. My
Mm-hmm.
favorite thing in the world to do is just solve problems, any sort of problem. That's why I went to become an engineer and where I am now. So he told me to look at some trailheads, just do a little bit of research on Salesforce. Did that, got familiar with it, did some more research, watched some videos about what it is and how powerful it is. And it was pretty quick. I mean, I did my research and was pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
And probably about 2 weeks later, I had my start date.
Nice. Yeah, and that's a big thing. You kind of brought it up with being challenged at the workplace. If you, for those of you that have looked at my LinkedIn, you know that I have a couple different jobs in a few years that I've worked, or been in the workforce, in the Salesforce workforce, and that's because I get bored. I have to constantly be challenged to continue to grow and continue to want to learn, and I can't be stagnant in what I'm doing, or else I get bored, and I'll start looking on LinkedIn or Indeed and talking to the recruiters and whatever. So I think that's a really good point to bring up, and it depends on the person. Some people like to have their job and know what's going to happen day in and day out, but then there's other people that kind of have to live on the edge and continue to be pushed and challenged as it goes along. So I think it really depends on where you are in your current life. As we think about life as like some linear path or whatever. But definitely for me, and it sounds like for you too, Alex, you like to be challenged. You like to problem solve, and every day shouldn't be the same. Or it's a boring day if the day is the same as yesterday. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I have to constantly be learning. I mean, I like to be challenged, a lifelong learner. Again, that's why I like problem solving. And yeah, this platform is definitely an opportunity for endless learning.
Yep, it's a beast. And what I'll tell people, especially those who are kind of starting out their journey, is, and you may have heard it already, is that Salesforce isn't hard; it's complicated. There's a whole bunch of different things all over the place, and especially when you're just starting out, you're just learning this one little piece, but you may see into some other people's worlds where they have like Service Cloud and CPQ and Pardot and integrations all over the place. But you got to start somewhere, continue to work on your particular piece, master it, and then move on to the next thing. So that's cool. Let's talk a little bit more about what you do, your role. You're a system admin. That's like what is a system admin? That's an ambiguous thing.
Yeah, definitely means a lot different things to different people. For me at my company, I don't handle any of the networking stuff. So thankfully, we've hired somebody else to set up all of that for our internal computers at the office and for our accounting stuff. So don't have to deal with that, thankfully. That's a whole nother can of worms that I wouldn't be prepared for quite yet. But yeah, I handle a lot of integrations with a lot of apps that our salespeople use and our management uses. So as an exterior company, we're trying to change how contractors are viewed. Most people hate dealing with contractors. It's like, oh, this roofer is here to screw me over.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Um, we're trying to make it as transparent as possible with all of our data. So, I mean, we use this portal called Builder Trend where our customers, they get a login to an app and they can see all the photos. They get a picture of their sales rep. They get updates as their project is going on. And we're trying to use data in all these apps to basically make this process that most people hate pretty transparent and something that seems fair and clean and something that people want. So
Cool.
I do use a lot of these apps and tie them into Salesforce, and then we use a lot of Google Sheets for our operations side. We haven't got Service Cloud quite up and running yet, so waiting on that build out, but tying it into Google Sheets, tying all that data back into Salesforce. A lot of the apps we use don't have integration set up with Salesforce, so I have to use Zapier quite a bit and
Nice.
get really creative with how the data communicates. And then on top of that, again, just small IT stuff, helping people with pop-up blockers and
There you go. Now I get those
anything
calls.
IT.
Hey, I can't see this screen. Where's my bookmark bar? It's like, come on
It's like
now.
turn it off and turn it back on.
Always.
I get a wide range of questions, and it's definitely a challenge every day, but it's a good challenge. So
That's cool. Um, Really quickly, how do you manage all of your requests that come in? So I kind of probe this with, because some companies I've used Salesforce to like manage incoming tickets and stuff like that, and sometimes it's just my email box. So I'm a little curious how you handle that.
yeah, I actually just finished training our management team on how to use. I created an object called request ticket. So for all of our Salesforce users, I honestly just did a bunch of research on seeing how best practices for setting up a request ticket, and then made it, customized it for our environment. So I use that. It'll come in as a small request ticket. I get notified, email, and then alert, and then just have all the information ready for me to go. I created a path so that users can look at where it is. I don't have to give them updates. They can just go check it themselves.
Nice.
And then for all of our non-Salesforce users, I created a Google form that they can actually submit it, and then Zapier will create a request ticket for me. So I've been managing all of that. I'm looking to actually build out another object that will basically just be big build out projects, and have
Mm-hmm.
request tickets be the child, have a
Nice.
parent-child relationship. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to use it all in Salesforce right now.
All right, and that's something that that's something that everybody kind of has that issue, especially when they're maybe internal admins or solo admins. It's like, how do you take care of and track the requests and manage the requests that are coming into the system. And you had a problem and you did your research, figured out the solution, and implemented it, which is really good. And it's pretty much what a Salesforce admin does. This was on, I'll say, a small scale in terms of doing it internally for requests and things like that. But every day you're doing this in other tasks and different things that you're doing. So that's what it's really about, especially when you're starting out and getting into Salesforce. It's a lot of it's problem solving, and a lot of the problems, they have been solved already. You don't have, let's say, uniquely new problems, but you'll have specific problems to your business. So that's some interesting stuff. But definitely reach out, do your research online. Google's my best friend. Like, I should have a degree in Google, or Google should have my degree, actually. We'll take that back, because it helped me through many tough times. Cool. So let's check in. What's your day-to-day look like? People want to know. People who are getting into or thinking about becoming an admin, they want to know what their day is going to look like, what they're in for.
Yeah, definitely. When I started, I had no real expectation of what my day to day was going to look like. It's definitely, I mean, it changes quite a bit. Right now, I'll give you my day to day on what it is for now. But basically, I'll have check-ins with my manager, and also my whole workflow has changed just because of COVID.
That's true. Yeah.
When I was in the office, it was a lot easier just to go and face-to-face ask quick questions to my manager, and I'd be doing a lot of that. Right now, I have to ask those questions via text or email quite a bit, so I'll be communicating with my manager quite a bit that way throughout the day. I usually have a Zoom meeting or two with him a day, just to have discovery meetings. So I'll have a discovery meeting about build outs, about ideas for projects, and I'll try and ask as many questions as I can, which I never ask enough questions, and I never ask always the right questions. So it takes a discovery process or two. After that, I'll do some demo work with him. So I'll screen share and show build out in the sandbox that I've done. Those are some of the other meetings I usually do day to day. And then, I also chat with our consultants. We had some consultants that built out our Sales Cloud before I was on the team. They basically just had that built out, and my boss, he was the Salesforce admin while managing the rest of the company. So I talk with them, get some input from them. We have some request hours with them that I ask, just high level architecture stuff just to make sure I'm on track. Cool. Then a lot of Googling, a lot of Googling just to see, how do I do this? Why is this field not updating? Or,
Nice. Yeah.
Like
there's definitely a lot of learning on the job, especially for you, because this is your first Salesforce role, and I'll say you're the solo admin there. Are you the only system admin, at least for right now?
Yep. It's a one-man show.
Definitely. So you're in a really good position because you're allowed to learn on the job, and depending on the different positions that you go for, you may not have as much luxury to learn versus people expecting you to know stuff already. But wherever you can, I'm always learning on the job, or even learning after hours as well. So it's definitely a blessing to continue to learn, being on such a great platform where you can, you have such depth to it. Cool. So let's talk about where you want to go. This doesn't really need to be, not saying that you want to leave your current company or anything like that, but what do you want to learn in the upcoming months? We kind of talked about Service Cloud being implemented. What are some things that you want to learn as you go forward?
So some big things that I really want to get down. The Service Cloud implementation is going to be really awesome. So that'll teach me best practices from our consultants, how they manage projects, their discovery process. I've been honestly just trying to learn as much as I can from them. They've been doing this for quite some time, and I've been learning architecture from them. So I really want to go with our Service Cloud build out as my next big thing. I'll be heavily involved with that, heavily working with them, and that's going to be a great opportunity for me to learn, get better at my project management skills because it's hard to be super organized. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's constant battle. Um, so that's where I really want to focus. I want to get more into the architecture and the big picture stuff because that's what really interests me. I mean, you have to be really good at that to be able to then go down and go really detail oriented into the build out
Yeah,
when
it's
you're actually implementing it.
drilling down into, well, we have this giant idea of we need to implement Service Cloud and get all of our team onto this, but at the end of the day, we need to figure out the individual field that goes on the page layout, that goes on this specific section for the person to actually enter in the information and how all of that sticks together. So, yeah, architecture's, that's some, it's some really intense stuff, and it does take time to figure it out and to get there, but it's
Yeah,
also super interesting.
yeah, and the part that I'm learning now is you got to think like 20 steps ahead because
Mm-hmm.
you implement something and then it's like, oh, Control Z. It doesn't work that way. I mean, you got to hit Control Z about 1,000 times to undo like one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a huge ripple effect. So that's what I'm seeing, and that's why I want to get better at that architecture and learning that because
Yep.
that's going to be awesome for. I mean, beyond Salesforce, I mean, even just any apps that we implement, any integrations we bring in, and Google Suite too.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
So
All right. Any certifications you going for? Shooting for any?
I haven't gotten any certifications yet, honestly. I did take like a practice admin test, and I do well on that. But I just got to pull the trigger and do that.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the architecture certification, I want to go for that. I think that again, I'm really interested in that stuff.
Yeah.
And
I know you're just starting out, so there's a huge path. I mean, I know people that have 20, 30. No, I don't know about 30, but 20 certifications. It is a journey. It's not a sprint. I didn't get my first certification until probably a year and a half into Salesforce. So definitely take your time, and since you're able to learn on the job, you will know once you're ready, at least for like the admin one and the app builder, because you'll know all this stuff already. The questions, you'll know how to beat them. You'll know the correct answers for them. So that's some pretty cool stuff, and it's great that you're spending the time now learning what you can. And I would say the certifications are a good way to prove that you know what you know in Salesforce, but they're not necessary. I do know people that have no certifications that know more stuff than me. So that's the trade off.
I think probably the coolest part about this job, I guess, I just forgot to add in, is that I get to learn so much about this business that I'm helping out too. So, I mean, I had no idea about the roofing, exterior, siding, window business ever. And now I know more about it than most people. I mean, I have to know all the operations, all of the intricacies of the business processes to translate into Salesforce. So, not only am I learning a lot about Salesforce, I'm learning all about this business and all the businesses we work with, and it's really awesome to just learn and also offer business advice.
Mm-hmm. And now you can take that experience, and if you need to, hopefully you don't, but if you like your company enough, but if you're like me, you can end up taking that experience and moving off to another company and building on top of that and learning all over the place and going haywire. But at the end of the day, you have all this amalgamation of how different businesses work, and then you can go back to your original company and say, "Look how these guys did it," and check it out. So it's all building on top of your experience. Cool. So let's talk about some advice. We want to give people, I guess, something to look forward to, or something that can help them in the end of this. I think we started off really well, and kind of just saying that you could land a Salesforce job anywhere, and even seeing you, a lot of people go down the path of like, oh, well, I got to get this certification, I got to study, I got to get experience. But you kind of just like fell into it. You don't have a certification. You didn't really have any Salesforce experience. But you put yourself up to the challenge, and you're achieving your goals through that. So you went around like the default path of what people say, but you're still in the Salesforce ecosystem and learning. So that's really great. What's some advice that you would tell somebody that either wants to be you, or they may be in a similar situation to you?
Uh, that's pretty tough. I mean, I think I'm pretty unique, so it's pretty hard to be in my exact situation. But if you, I guess the situation I was in was, I wanted to challenge myself. So I'd recommend just reflect on where you are and how you got there. I mean, I was working at my old job. The reason why I was there is because I got a mechanical engineering degree, and why I got there was because I like problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, I mean, I'm pretty good with computer or decent with computers. I mean, I wouldn't say pretty good, but at the time, I thought this is a good choice. I want to challenge myself, and where I've gotten today has just been risk taking and just learning. So I'd
Nice.
say just reflect on what really motivates you, what gets you going, and see which path will align with that most.
All right. Well, there you have it. I got to end with, I guess, a silly question. When did you first feel like an adult?
Uh, Not that long ago, honestly, when I filed my own taxes and wasn't claimed as a dependent. So there you have it. TurboTax for the win.
There you go. Check that checkbox. You've made it. Welcome to adulthood. I'm not. I still feel like a child, so I'm no
Yeah.
better. Cool. Well, there it is, everybody. Alex Khaldy from it's Endeavor Exterior. Definitely, I'd say check them out. They're changing the space of contracting and roofing and things like that. So if they're in my area, I'm definitely gonna start looking it up and see how that works out. But any last words you want to tell anybody? Anybody you want to plug? Definitely plug your boss. He's the one that gave you the job. So
Chris Velasco is a pretty awesome guy. He's a great leader. Also, I guess advice would be, yeah, find somebody you want to work for and a company you want to work for. Makes world of difference.
I definitely agree with that 100%. I've been at my current position for it's probably the one of the longest jobs that I've had, and because it's challenging me, I love the company, and it gives me something to strive for. It's not soul sucking, So it's really great. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining. I really appreciate you spending the time. You don't have to, and you're giving back to the community, and everybody's gonna thank you for that. If you're just helping one person understand that, hey, they can do this, or if they're a solo admin feeling overwhelmed, they can understand that people feel overwhelmed, but you're going to break your problems down and go forward and try to conquer them. So that's what this is all about. And thank you so much for spending the time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. And this is awesome what you're doing. So keep doing what you're doing.
There you have it. Alrighty, everybody. I'm Walters954, and remember, I believe in you.